Let's go through the cast members. John Ritter, one of the best physical comedians.
Uh, he was the heir to Dick Van Dyke and heir to any other physical comedian ever to come along. But besides that, you're going to get tired of me hearing this. What a sweet man, considerate man, talented man. It wasn't luck. He at SC, he really studied and he worked at it. So it wasn't by accident. And prior to that, what was the series John Boy?
The Walton.
Yeah, he played a reverend.
Right.
A pretty young reverend, but nonetheless a reverend. So we knew he was capable of doing that. I didn't know how good he was in comedy until he just started, and everybody was captivated. He just had a nice rhythm to everything. Joyce is well studied, a very professional lady, remembers everything, considerate, kind to the cast, kind to the crew, and very involved. She always had something to say, especially with our three guys. If it's something to do with her character, can we do this? Can we change that? Can we let her grow up a little bit? Can we change her hair? And one time she cut her hair over summer break, and nobody knew she was going to do that. It came as a shock. So that, she can be tunnel vision in this case, but it worked.
And Suzanne, what a master of timing Suzanne Somers had.
Some of that had to be taught to her. Mickey was the ideal person to help give her better motivation, better understanding of the characters. Norman Fell, who always played a cop and even bad guys, I think this was an ideal situation for him to be able to come to a place every week, do a character, get laughs, mug. He introduced us to breaking the fourth wall. That isn't done too often, where he would look directly into the camera and give a facial expression that can only boost, the reaction. That's how inventive. No one said do that. He did it.
And Audrey?
I'm going to say this again for her. Solid, great timing, great interpreter of the line, and generous.
Richard Kline?
I like Richie. Richie is kind of special because he wasn't a regular in the first 6 episodes. He was just a guest. But he created such a character, and the writing put him in that complex that there's no reason why they couldn't get a chance to see him more often. And the character of Jack Tripper and his character hit it off rather well. And then from then on, it just became, let's see, what can I wear? How can I dress? How can I interpret that line? And again, when it all ended and we were going to go to the pilot, he was given the option to come aboard and be part of that cast of Three's a Crowd. But he said he opted instead to be a star and went off to another project, which didn't come out. But the fact is, he doesn't feel badly about that. He had a great run as Larry.
And Anna Wedgeworth?
We didn't see enough of her. It became probably a conflict of how do you write for this lady? As an actress, she's superb. I mean, it's a Broadway actress. She knows her bananas. We just didn't get a chance to use her well enough. We couldn't get that relationship between Don Knotts, who was the landlord in that part of it, and her to make sparks fly or to make it appealing. It was always conflict. And it just didn't work itself right. And her chasing Jack, you can only do that so many times. But she was a great sport. She knew the character was lacking. We couldn't get, the writers couldn't find that. It was a disappointment for her to be dropped. And we miss her.
And Don Knotts. What do you remember of Don?
All Don has to do is be on camera, and you're in trouble. And that's the way he works. All you have to do is look at him, but he thinks. He's a thinking actor. It's not saying that he does all his comedy by instinct. No, there's an absolute reason behind it, and it's a reason for why he should react. He doesn't have to tell you that, but that's how he gets his motivation. He's a very thorough, accomplished actor and very funny, very generous. Again, they shared so much between each other. Wanted to make sure that the partners got big laughs as well, or that he has something to play off of. And one time he did a pratfall in the hospital, one of the funnier episodes, when Jack has to go to the hospital for an operation that everybody thinks it's something else. And it's really a minor thing. And when Don Knotts' character sees him in the thing, the robe, thinking he's pregnant. It's pretty broad comedy. He falls over and faints. Well, somebody had to catch him as a stage manager. But he loved doing that. He loved the physical stuff too.
So there were two new additions. There was Jenny Lee Harrison.
Jenny Lee, who was the Ram song leader, amongst other things. Absolutely wide-eyed. A possibility that she would have been related to the Chrissy character, but she's a jock. You know, she could do some of the stuff that John could do in terms of body stunts and not afraid to do it. So we had someone who was really, one of the plus factors was the physicalness. The other thing is she needed to be brought along too, as well. Not being an actress, a real actress. So that was, those things keep going on, but she had so much fun, and the chemistry was good between Joyce and John and her.
So what eventually led to her being replaced by Priscilla Barnes?
Well, what it was is the character was simply a college student who was related. We needed to bring a little bit more, this is their thinking. My interpretation, we needed to bring a little bit more maturity to what might be sparks, what might be a love affair, what might be something going on in the bed. And again, nothing of that ever happens. But writers had the challenge to try to build that. And they did it, with the new character, the nurse. So Ms. Barnes had to step into probably a most uncomfortable position because of Suzanne and because of Jenny Lee. The characters sort of around if we needed them, but they weren't guaranteed X amount of episodes, and therefore X amount of airtime. So she had to come in there, Priscilla, and make new friends, establish that character of hers. It was not an easy matter. But once they got to understand her character better, it worked. She became very good friends with Joyce.